In the previous video, we saw the architecture of online applications for smart devices, for the case where we used the KVN, and also for when the compiled application was used. Here in GeneXus, we will see two possible ways in which we may obtain that compilation. As a result of the last F5, here we can see the emulator open with the KVN and the dashboard's URL. Let's see this icon here, indicating that we are using the KVN. Now, instead of executing the KVN, we want to execute the compilation. So, we go to the dashboard, main object of our smart device application, and right-click on Set as Startup Object. So, if we go to the environment preferences, we will see the property startup object with the dashboard. When this property has been set, an F5 will mean doing a run on that main object. So let's do it. This will cause everything that depends on that dashboard to be specified, generated, and compiled. Once compiled, it'll be uploaded to the web server. And in the end, the compiled MyEventDay APK will be opened in the Android emulator because we don't have an actual device connected to the computer. Let's note this launch image. And the icon we have here, which does not correspond to the KVN, but rather to the compiled. Where do these two images originate? If we go to the dashboard properties, in the Android group, we will find the property Android Application Icon, which we set previously with this value that corresponds to an image we inserted in the KB. And these two properties that correspond to the launch image for both the portrait and the landscape orientations. So now we're executing the compilation. And what happens if we want to install this compilation on an actual device to test the application on it? Note that the developer menu was not retrieved as it happens otherwise. We know that the developer menu included QR codes to download the compiled application onto each platform. Since the web application was not generated, that developer menu was not opened. To obtain it, we may go to View, Show QR Codes. Here we see when the web part is collapsed, because the developer menu is invoked with this parameter. This then shows the QR codes we're interested in. We should note that now we do not have the QR codes corresponding to the MyEventDay main object for Android. Here we have the URL from where the application is to be downloaded for MyEventDay. And here we see that it's disabled for BlackBerry, because we've not compiled the application for BlackBerry. So, at this point, I would open my program for reading QR codes on my Android device, then scan this QR code, and I would be directly offered the device to download the application and install it. Let's now get back to GeneXus. And suppose that I will now continue developing the web part of the application and want to test it on the developer menu. Or that I continue developing the part for smart devices and I'm interested in executing it as interpreted and not as compiled. From now on, every time that I press F5 with MyEventDay as startup object, the only thing pending to be compiled will be the application corresponding to smart devices. So, what should be done is to remove startup object from the environment. So now, when I press F5, what follows is to do Run Developer Menu, which not only generates the web part, but also, as we've seen in previous videos, compiles the KBN with the URL of the main objects in our smart device application. Here we have KB Navigator APK, which will be opening on the emulator again. And we can see that we're no longer executing the compilation. We mentioned earlier that there was another option to obtain the compilation at a given instance, which implies right-clicking on Run. This means that what will be specified, generated, and compiled depends on my event day, and for this one time only. Why is that? Because it will not be configured as startup object. We can see that it tries to open the application on the emulator. The fact that it's not a startup object will cause the web developer menu and KBN to be opened the next time we press F5. And just by way of review, we should recall the build and compilation options in the next video.